Welcome to the Nobody Asked Our Opinion podcast.
Words are good.
Words are tricky. My name is Jay Jay.
And I'm Joanna.
And this is the podcast where this episode, we are deep diving into a movie franchise. And the franchise we are doing this time is the Spider-Man movies.
Woo!
And we are starting this episode with the Spider-Man Far From Home movie.
Woo!
This is the second Tom Holland MCU Spider-Man movie.
Yes, we're 2 of 2 for Tom Holland.
And the third one being when? When's the third one being released?
December of this year, and I'm so excited.
Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas.
Oh god, it's gonna be so good. I'm so excited. Unless
Such
it follows the trend of Spider-Man 3s, but I hope it doesn't. Please don't suck.
I did notice there's a lot of references to Raimi's Spider-Man 2. There's little moments where you were like, oh, that's kind of like what
happened
in that other movie. Ding, 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 ding.
Yes.
But without further ado, we will start off with the opening sequence of
Spider-Man Far From Home.
Spider-Man Far From Home, and Nick Fury and Maria, I forget her full name.
Maria Hill.
Maria Hill. I almost said something very Hispanic.
It's Robin.
Robin from How I Met Your Mother. Which I never actually watched that show.
Oh, girl, that show's fun. Except for the last season. Last season's kind of meh.
That's what I hear.
But, and honestly, the whole season's not completely terrible. It's really just when you get to the end and you're like, really, that's how you're going to end your show? Okay.
No. Homegirl Robin and Samuel L. Jackson, they go to this city in Mexico that's been decimated by a wind monster.
Yes.
And we see Jake Gyllenhaal in his hunky glory as Mysterio. Not yet called Mysterio. He's just a dude at this point. And he's got this the cool green
fish helmet
and costume and all that. And it's ooh, futuristic, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, what the fuck? And then it just immediately cuts to almost, it's clearly a Windows PowerPoint.
Oh, it's so bad it's good. It's because clearly students made this, but not well. And it's just it's so bad it's good, and it's everything I needed in that moment.
Yeah, it's a PowerPoint of it's an in memoriam of all the Avengers who have fallen.
And to I Will Always Love You.
Yes.
Which is the most cliche song to use.
I am here for it, though.
Oh, I love the song and I'm fine, but I just think it's so funny. They're what's the most cliche song we can use for a remembrance video? I Will Always Love You. And I love that it's just, it kind of shows the different ones, and you're like, did they know that Vision sacrificed himself to end the war? Did they tell people that? Sure. How do they know about Natasha's death? I'm sure it's listed somewhere, but it was just kind of coming off of Endgame when you're watching the movie, it was the first movie after Endgame, and you're just all these people looking back at it now, a couple years later, you're what information did they put out about Natasha Romanoff's death?
I mean, I'm sure that there was an official roster of...
Oh, I'm sure there was a list of the dead, but I'm just wondering do they just know that she died, or do they know how she died? Because they clearly focused the most on Iron Man's death, which was obviously had more witnesses. And so probably more people are he saved us all, he's our savior. So,
yeah, who's going to tell of Natasha's death?
Clint.
Hi? Yeah. What's he doing? He's just...
He's sitting around waiting for his TV show to start.
Yeah, clearly doing absolutely nothing. So nobody's talking to him. So clearly, this movie clearly takes place it's after the blip. They explain what the blip is.
I think it says it's 8 months after the blip.
So they explain all the people are now returning. It explains why some of the characters are still in their teenage years because they
while conveniently all of Peter's friends are the same
yes,
age because
all of
they
Peter's
all
friends.
flipped.
Yes, we discovered that. Did we know that Aunt May at this point had blipped away?
No, I think her status was unconfirmed until she
like straight up said it.
She straight up said it in the thing.
Okay. So it's like they do this memoriam at school, and it's really silly. And this is like it's the exposition dump for the
for everybody to catch up in case you haven't been watching the MCU for the last 10 years. And if not, why are you even here? You need a lot of like this is like the first Spider-Man movie. You didn't need a whole lot of like background. This one you need a lot more background to follow. But it's part of a bigger franchise than just Spider-Man, so I'm okay with it. I want all of it. Give me more. But okay, so we see that
you will.
Yes. So we see the "I Will Always Love You" video, and then they talk about who's old, who's not, and then all of the kids are going on a trip to Europe. And Peter has this adorable little plan because he has a crush on MJ, and he's like, okay, I got a splitter for our headphones so we can watch movies together, and then I'm gonna buy her a Black Dahlia necklace because she likes the murder. Because
that's
weird.
her. And can I say, like, this iteration of MJ is the best iteration of MJ?
Oh, absolutely, hands down boots.
Like, she's not just, like, your damsel in distress, like, useless, kind of problematically...
I have notes on this later.
Yeah, like, even right from the get-go, she's just like, what are you nerds talking about? You're just like, yes, MJ, and you're, like, disheveled hair, and you're, like... absolute like poor posture. She's
we said
always
this last time. She's live action Daria.
Yeah, absolutely. Like just and which is funny because Zendaya is actually like a gorgeous human being.
Oh, bubbly, exuberant, and this just is a testament to her acting skills.
And it's just so it's like her transformation into this like I don't want to say emo. That's not the right word.
No, she's like living like her best like 90s grunge era.
Very 90s, yeah. Very 90s grunge, alt rock metal.
I still say that I think I summed it up perfectly with live action Daria because that's what Daria is.
Absolutely. And like from the get-go, right from this movie, she's just like established. It's just like it's great.
But so Peter has his plans and Ned's like, but we're going to be bachelors in Europe and it's going to be great. And Peter's like, no, I want to hang out with MJ. And then he hops over to a fundraiser for the recently displaced that Aunt May is holding because all the people who have blipped back all have like people living in their houses now.
Yeah, I think that scene starts with Aunt May talking about like, oh, when I returned, I just like was in the middle of my living room, but like
other people were there,
and like the grandma thought I was a ghost, and the woman there thought I was a robber or a burglar.
So
I can imagine that being very difficult to kind of like, oh, what's going on? What just happened?
So they're explaining the way of the world right now in that scene, and I love that Aunt May is just exploiting her nephew. She found out at the end of the last movie that he was Spider-Man, and she's just like 100% down for it. Which I'm also like, why haven't you told Aunt May in any of these other goddamn movies? Aunt May's the best. But she's like, here for it, but she's also like, dress up, show up here, and just be Spider-Man. I don't care if there's a robbery. Like, you're going to do this for me. He's like, so awkward. He doesn't want to be there, but he's like, I'll do it because I love you. Like, that's fine.
He gives off very awkward teenage energy. Whenever he gets to the mic, he's like, thanks for having me here, and thanks for being here. Bye.
I'm gonna go backstage now. Later. And then Happy shows up with the giant check from Pepper Potts because Pepper still is in charge of Stark Industries. And
I put here Happy and Aunt May sitting in a tree. KISSING.
I was like, well, Happy clearly likes May, and May is like, it's the first time that May is totally like 100% down for that attention because she's never like rebukes it. But she's also kind of just, like, seems oblivious to the fact that people are, like, just fawning over her. And when Happy comes in, she's just like, hi. Hi.
Yeah, I mean, in the first movie, we see all these people just like straight up just like hit on her.
Oh yeah.
Hardcore, and even when she's not there, they're like hitting on her via Peter Parker.
Yeah,
multiple times, and like to the point where you're just like, okay, guys, we get it.
Yeah.
But like, this is the first time we actually see her like, kind of like being okay with it or like responding to it in any way. And it's with Happy.
I love Happy. I love John Favreau. Like, I'm so happy he's in this movie.
Because I think his character gives kind of, well, I mean, his character does kind of develop into almost like a second father figure to Peter. Obviously Daddy Stark is Papa Stark.
Papa Stark.
Papa Stark is, at the top, but like, he definitely plays that like stern stepfather role.
Like, in a good way. Like, and because he even played that in the last movie.
Yeah.
He'd always call Happy and been like, hey, this is what I need. And he'd be like, I don't have time for you right now. Papa Happy's a little busy.
Yeah. He's very much like, like I said, he's not like the father figure per se. He's like the stepfather figure. He's like, he's willing to step up to the plate to take on fatherly duties, but he's like, only like 80%.
You're not my real dad, and you never will be.
You're not my real son, and you're never gonna real.
Well, I mean, that was also like Peter's relationship though with Happy too. Is like he'd rather go talk to Tony, but Happy was there, and who he talked to, he's like, but you're not my real dad. Until we get to the end, and then they embrace each other, and it's wonderful. And they're like, oh, they're together.
Yay!
We can cry when we get there.
Yes.
So Happy tells Peter that Nick Fury is going to need Spider-Man, and Peter's like, no, I don't have time for this.
I don't need this. I just want to go on vacation and be a teenager for a summer. Leave me alone.
And so he goes back out on stage and gets bombarded with questions about, are you the new leader of the Avengers? And Peter's like, I can't handle this, and he dips. And I said that Peter's going through some serious imposter syndrome.
I mean,
and that's
for like, and not only that, like, it's a lot of pressure to put on like what, a 15. I mean, he's still 15. Like, he's still a child. And they're talking about, oh, are you now the head of this, like, ultimate crime-fighting, ring of superheroes that is in charge of defending this entire planet? 15-year-old child. And he's like, gotta go bye, and just, like, dips.
Yeah. And so we do get to see the looming presence of the world missing Tony Stark with, like, the giant mural painted, like, across from him.
Yeah.
And
the world is on Tony Stark's dick.
They were always there.
Dick. That Tony Stark dick.
You feel better about yourself now?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Oh, my next note just says, I fucking love the Peter Tingle.
Mine too! It just says, Peter Tingle, yay!
I love that it's called the Peter Tingle. I think it's so stupid, it's wonderful, it's perfect, and it's something that, like, of course your middle-aged aunt would totally just be like, I wouldn't call it a Spidey sense because that's too cool. Oh, you're Peter Tingle.
Yeah. It's like when you ask your mom or your dad to like buy a specific gift, but they like get like the super knockoff version of it.
Yes. Oh, I made the same note later when he's on the phone with May when they're in Prague, or no, Italy. Yeah. And she's like, oh, was that Mr. Strange?
Mr. Strange? It's Dr. Strange, Mom! God!
God, Aunt May.
God, Aunt May. God.
These are like my coworkers, man. Get their names right.
Jeez. Did you catch that Peter's luggage?
Yes. It was just says what, BFP?
BFP. That's Ben's.
Because it's probably Uncle Ben's luggage, who we still know nothing about. And I'm honestly 100% okay with never us understanding anything more about Uncle Ben.
Because the other two movies were so centric around, like, that was Spider-Man's motivation for being Spider-Man. Everything. For all the things. Yeah. And now it's just like, it's just this consequential, like, thing that happened on the side. It doesn't really have to matter in this universe.
Yeah.
Because
I'm gonna totally laugh if the next movie is completely centric around Uncle Ben.
I know, right?
And we're like hanging off of like Marvel's dick that entire time. We're like, this is everything
we wanted. Yay! But at this moment,
I don't need it.
We have two very successful movies that have very little to do with Uncle Ben. I would be surprised if they even bring in Uncle Ben's like situation at this point. But you know, I'm not a Marvel executive. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
I wish I was a Marvel executive. I would be not doing this podcast right here right now.
Fair.
Mainly because I would be afraid I'd get shot.
For sure.
Kevin Feige just with a sniper rifle beam on my forehead.
Just like 24.
Yeah. I can say nothing.
I can't do anything.
Can I say that? No? Okay.
Nope. Okay, got it.
Great. Okay, so then Peter goes
so
to
now
his
they're
trip and
so
totally gets
cock-blocked.
Mm-hmm. Totally gets cock-blocked.
And it's funny because because he asks Ned, "Hey, can we go try to find a way for me to sit next to MJ?" And so he goes. It's like, "Oh, Peter has a perfume allergy, and he needs to sit, away from the dude that we're sitting next to." And then the teacher just swoops in and is like, "Oh, okay, guys, let's do all this, and you're gonna switch here and here and here and here." And he ends up sitting next to the teacher.
No, and it's every single school trip, you have the one teacher who's like, I'm only here because I'm contractually obligated to be here, and the other teacher who's like, I am going to be the ultimate mother hen over all of you, and this is my flock, and I'm taking care of everything, and it is very that heightened, and I love and appreciate that, because you're like, oh, I know that teacher.
Yeah, I've been to school trips with that teacher.
Yes.
And so, yeah, Peter sits next to the teacher. Ned sits next to... I call her blonde chick. I don't know her name.
Betty.
Okay.
Betty Brant. So in the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, that's Elizabeth Banks.
I didn't know Elizabeth Banks' character had a name. Mm-hmm. You're right. It is Betty. Because I do remember hearing Jay Jonah Jameson saying, "Betty, do this!"
Yeah, so her name's Betty Brant because that's the same character.
Got it. And then, lo and behold, MJ is sitting next to super hunky Asian who, was previously just, some scrawny little, nothing.
Somebody's, younger brother, middle school kid or whatever.
Yeah, and now he, not having been part of the blip, now he's 5 years older and is, super hunky and, all the girls are after him. And is, obvious romantic threat to Peter Parker, and he's like, bleh.
I don't think I ever wrote down his name. Is his name Brad?
His name is Brad.
As is some generic macho hunk name. I was like Brad, right?
Yeah, it's some douchey white boy name. It's
which is funny because he's not a white boy, but
which I again appreciate that it's an Asian character getting kind of a romantic-y type. He's a rival. He's a
rival, and he gets shit on the entire movie by your protagonist.
Yeah.
I'm glad here for the representation, but it was just one of those moments where it's he's not a great character. He gets shit on the entire movie. But I love that Ned and Betty end up hooking up in this movie. Yeah. It's so adorable.
It's so
and it's exactly how Peter wanted his life to work out. Exactly. And Ned was not here for this plan at all and was like, "Oh, we had a moment and now we're together."
We had a lot in common. And it's funny because it was prefaced he said right at the beginning of the flight. It's it's only a 9-hour flight. What could possibly happen? And he walks off with a girlfriend.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. No, and I'm here for it because I think it's totally the relationship you didn't expect to see.
No.
But the one you needed in your life.
You're like, oh, yeah.
I'm so here for this.
I'm so here for this. And they're they act like they've been together for years.
Yeah.
They're immediately doting on each other and calling each other.
Oh, and I love the progression of their relationship. They immediately buy those floral matching ball caps in Italy.
Oh my god! Yeah.
And just everything they do is we've been married for 30 years. We're on our anniversary, and we're just doing those stupid couple shit. Yeah. And I'm here for it. I stan it. I want it. And so they go to their really shitty hotel, which also gives me accurate school trip energy.
Yeah, of course you're going to be like in a hotel where,
half
of it underwater.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Venice is
underwater,
but like...
but the hotel shouldn't
be. The hotel shouldn't be.
But it's also like, this is how much money we have at our public school.
Mm-hmm. I do like the fact that, as they were, doing montages of, the kids doing the different things, of course, Flash is the douchebag guy with the selfie stick vlogging on the class trip.
Absolutely. Also, did you clock when Peter's going around and he goes in to go get the Black Dahlia necklace? Jake Gyllenhaal is just chilling in the background.
I literally put, did you see Jake Gyllenhaal? He's right there.
And then you also see his other random cronies, hiding throughout, different scenes throughout the movie. You're just and if you're not paying attention, on your first viewing, you would never notice it.
No, because it's such, it's so in the background, so,
But, upon second time, you're like, oh, you're really just doing this from the beginning without telling me.
Oh, yeah. It's I recognize that chiseled bearded jawline. That is Jake Gyllenhaal.
I know who that god is.
That Grecian god.
And then on a side note, I just love the chemistry between Tom Holland and Zendaya. They are so cute together.
Yeah.
They interact so well. Their on-screen chemistry is just wonderful. And they're also super adorable in interviews. You can tell that they just really get along and they're good friends. By this point, and I'm here for that party.
Oh yeah, This is definitely one of those moments where you get to see kind of the beau conversation, right?
Yeah.
Where she's talking about beau is just an Italian word for fucking anything.
Yeah. No, I love it. And then she's just some guy was oh, you guys want to buy a rose? Buy a rose for your girl. And Peter's do I buy it? Do I don't buy it? What do I do? What do I do? And she's just beau. And he was oh, fine, fuck you too.
Yeah, he just walks away. And he's oh, wow, that really worked.
Oh, and then she's bugging him about what he bought. And he's just beau. And she's well played.
Well played. Mm-hmm.
Good job. I taught you well. And then attack on the water monster.
I know. I was oh no, water is acting funny. I also wrote, I'm strong and I'm sticky.
I literally wrote that down too.
Because he's I can help. I'm strong and sticky. I can help. I'm really strong and I'm sticky.
I love it.
Because Venice gets attacked by a water monster and Mysterio, Jake Gyllenhaal's character.
He is not named yet.
Unnamed character at this point comes in, swoops in, and sort of saves the day. We get another moment where Peter Parker is, trying to hold two buildings together. Except this time, it is kind of the piss is kind of taken out of it because he gets bonked on the head by the bell a couple times.
Oh, I literally wrote down, it's not a Spider-Man movie until Peter Parker has to hold up something heavy.
Mm-hmm. But what's great about it is that it's not this fraught tension of oh my god, will he do this thing? It's kind of it's this kind of offhand, almost silly moment where he is trying to be the hero.
Yeah.
But because he's a child, he's gonna fuck up, so he loses his footing and hits his head on a
giant bell.
On a giant bell twice.
Yeah.
Before finally getting his footing. And it's it's just a great kind of characterization moment for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Where...
Oh, I do love that. And then I love in the midst of all that, he's oh my god, is this necklace thing safe? And it's just okay, necklace is safe. I almost wanted there to be a moment where then he trips and falls and it breaks.
Right, he just missteps off of the dock and just it falls out of his hand and goes into the water. And you're oh.
But it doesn't. It's fine. He puts it back in his pocket. All is well. They go back to their hotel, and I love that Flash is a Spider-Man stan.
Absolutely. He's he makes me want to be a better man.
Yeah. He's so great. I love him. I love him. Fuck you, Peter.
Fuck you, Peter, you douche.
Go eat shit and die. But let me tell you about my man Spider-Man.
The Spider-Man dough. He would have kicked that water monster's ass.
And then Happy is having lunch with Aunt May. I said Happy is after that May Booty.
Yes, get that May Booty.
And And I just love that May knows that Peter finds it awkward.
Oh, for sure.
And gives zero fucks. She's just like...
Happy wants to talk to you.
And they're both like, hi, Happy, hi, Pete. I got pamphlets, I gotta go. And May's just eating it up. She's I'm going to make both of these people as uncomfortable as humanly possible.
It's great. I love it.
And then Ned and Peter are in the room and they're talking about what's been going on, or they're walking into the room and then all of a sudden, slap! Ned gets shot with the dart and Nick Fury's there.
Dun 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 dun. Because why? Peter Parker's been ghosting him.
Peter Parker's been ghosting him because that's just it. Okay, so I love Samuel L. Jackson. I love him in this role. And I love that every time somebody knocks on the door, Nick Fury's like, am I going to kill this fucker?
Is this guy, is this the next one?
I will shoot all these people with darts and then I will move to bullets. And it's just great.
I love that. I love that scene too. I think he even says, like, if one more person on this motherfucking hotel opens that motherfucking door.
I love it. And so they sneak off and go meet Jake Gyllenhaal, who is so attractive.
I mean, come on, guys.
Like, I'm sure I listed this about 6,000 more times in these notes, but I don't care. He is so attractive. And just to point out, like, I got to meet him because I saw him in a play, and he is more attractive in person.
Of course he is.
And he is brilliant to watch act live. He was in a one-man show, and that man had me completely captivated the entire time, and 80% of that show was him standing in the middle of a stage with just him, a microphone, and a spotlight.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned
And
this.
I was completely engaged and then sobbing by the end. Jake Gyllenhaal is brilliant. And
I think he is kind of an underrated actor. I think.
Oh, I think so too. I think that not enough people give him credit for his skill as an actor. Because even in this movie, he is brilliant. In this movie.
The twist. Like, I don't know. I don't know about you. I never saw it coming. I was like, oh, what?
Well, because I remember when we were talking about it beforehand, you said the thing that you said first was that isn't he supposed to be a villain in the cartoons? Like, yeah, I remember him being a villain. And then we sit down and we watch it, though, but the way that they unveil the twist was very well done.
Yeah, I do. I remember thinking, like, oh, I thought Mysterio was a bad guy. Like, he's a good guy here.
Why is he still a good guy? And you don't care because he's so attractive. And then when you find out he's a bad guy and how he's a bad guy and why he's a bad guy, you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's a very, like, clever, like...
It's good writing and good acting.
I also did write, he says, call me Quentin, and I wrote, call me Quentin, daddy, whatevs.
I do love his line. He says, don't ever apologize for being the smartest in the room. I was like, that's a flex, and I'm here for it.
I also wrote down Nick Fury's line, bitch, please, you've been to space.
I also wrote that. And also... it was a throwaway line, but Peter says they study Thor in physics class.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because now all the myths, because they talk about, like, the monsters are all different elemental, like, archetypes that have been kind of documented throughout human history. But
it was always set up to be, it was just this myth that wasn't to really be believed, and he was like, well, Thor's a myth, and now we study him in physics.
Yeah, so, like, of course there are elemental monsters that are trying to destroy the planet.
I'll believe anything at this point.
Got it.
Also, Spider-Man is the only one in the Avengers who has a actual secret identity. Everybody else, you know who they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so he's just like, oh, no, I can't be here in my Spider-Man suit because... everybody is going to know who I am because my classmates are going to realize that I was in DC with them in the first movie and then Spider-Man shows up and then now I'm here and then Spider-Man shows up. That won't work.
For sure.
So,
we forgot that Nick Fury gives those the Edith glasses to...
Oh, yes, but we don't know what Edith is yet. We're not there yet.
But he gives them the glasses.
He gives them the glasses
and as a gift, like he says, oh, this is Tony Stark's gift to you.
Yes.
Which is like another touching moment of, Daddy Stark's, like, comforting Peter. And he's like, oh my God, I will cherish.
Yes. And on that note, we're going to take a quick break.
Oh my God. I cannot with the housing market right now, Joanna.
Have I not told you about Capital Realty Center?
Oh, the premier realty group that supported and succeeded throughout the California landscape? Now I remember.
If that's what you're looking for, call Kathy Johnson at 916-606-0687 to win that next bid.
That's Kathy Johnson with Capital Realty Center at 916-606-0687. License number 02021378.
And we're back again.
We're back.
Okay, so this is a great point to start back on. And I really want to go to Europe. This is what this movie made me do.
I know. I was like, I want to go to Venice too. I want to go. I want to
go to Prague.
I want to be in Prague during the Festival of Lights.
Yeah, no. This entire movie, I just spent the entire having travel envy. Are we even allowed in Europe yet?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think we're even allowed in Europe yet. I want to go to Europe so bad. And then so now Nick Fury has hijacked his trip, and they're all going to Prague instead of Paris.
Which, fucks up Peter's plan.
Peter's plan, but also, Prague is beautiful. Just calm down, kid.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
But he puts on the glasses and finds out the glasses are called Edith, which means, even dead, I'm the hero.
Ha-ha!
Absolutely, Tony Stark. But my thought process here is, Tony really needs to think about what's appropriate to give to a teenager. In the first movie, he gave this the suit with the suit lady Karen, and Karen just wanted to kill people.
All she wanted to do was shall I engage kill mode?
And immediately he's just like, oh, I need to get rid of this this threat. And Edith is like, are you sure? Yeah. Okay.
All right, attack drone deployed. You're like, what?
And you're like, oh, it's a 15-year-old should not have that kind of power.
Well, to be fair, in the first movie, he did have the training wheels protocol that he bypassed via Ned.
Yes, but there were no training wheel protocols on Edith.
Not on Edith, for sure. But then again, bitch, please, he's been to space.
Yeah, and then promptly died.
Yeah, not his fault.
Not his fault, but promptly died.
It was arguably Tony's fault if he hadn't got that glove.
No, Star-Lord's fault.
Yeah, fuck Star-Lord. That bitch. Boo, where's Gamora? Anyways.
If anybody would like to hear all of our uncensored thoughts on Endgame, email us at nobodyasked-our-opinion@gmail.com and we'll rewatch that. But
yes, yeah. Edith has immediate anything you want her to do. She's like, oh, shall I kill it?
Yeah, let's kill it.
Can I kill it with fire, or shall I kill it with
kill it with drones?
Kill it with drones? Kill it with bullets?
How would you like the stuff to happen?
Exactly.
And then there's the hot spy lady, and she's like, here, put on this new suit. Take off your clothes, I need to see if it fits. And then Brad, who's a total douche, walks in, and I understand the moment of kind of going whoa, what the fuck's happening? But then he goes, let's take a picture.
Oh, that, I don't know if that screams Gen Z culture, that the first thing they do is want to take a photo of it. Or if it's if it speaks to him as
I think it speaks to him as a person, because he's like, I need to take pictures. And then he goes, because I need to show MJ.
Because I want to show MJ.
Because she's going to be with me, not with you.
Yeah, that's right. Because he runs out and is like, you can't show that picture to MJ. And he's like, no, I want to get with her. And it's obvious that you want to get with her too. And this is my way of taking you out. And so he's like, oh, okay. I see. I see your problematic picture of me with my pants down. I raise you attack drone.
Yes.
Accidentally.
Accidental. But then
wasn't he trying to just get a hold hack into his phone and delete the photo or something? But
yeah, and then he got distracted and
then was like, oh, oops, I
initiated kill mode. My bad.
Oops.
So he jumps out of the emergency hatch on the roof and takes care of all of the things. I wrote down Ned is the best, and I forget why I put that note, but Ned's the best.
I'm trying to think what Ned did during the. I mean, he was texting the girl that he was with, and they're right next to each other. They were texting each other like, "I miss you."
Yeah, no.
They were sitting next to each other. What else?
It might have been a later scene. I don't know. It's just the next note I have written down is Ned is the best. And I know what it is. It's because he comes up to Peter and he goes, "Hey, I know I haven't been giving you a whole lot of attention right now."
Oh, because he's like, because
I've been spending time with Betty and nurturing my relationship. But I just want to let you know, hey, I'm always your guy in the chair.
Always the guy in the chair.
And I'm always here for you if you need me. And I'm sorry I've been neglectful. And I'm like, Ned is the best friend that everybody deserves and nobody quite has.
But then he also goes, "Oh, by the way, you need to save us all."
Well, that was. Yeah. By the way,
you need to keep us all safe and keep the monster away from us.
And so you got to keep the fire monster away from the metal, and Papa Nick needs to calm down.
Yeah, I said Fury yells at Peter because he's just being a fucking teenager.
Yeah. You're just like, whoa. Papa Nick, calm down.
Yeah, he can, like
calm down.
He needs to back, what's the put on the brakes on that train there, because he's a child.
And so Peter gets all sad and he goes up onto the roof and sits down, and then we get such a good speech from the spoiler alert villain, who in that scene never actually touches Peter. So you realize that is actually just a projection when you look back on it, though. But at that moment, he never actually touches him. You're like,
correct.
Oh, you were just projecting. Interesting. And so they send the kids to the opera instead of the Festival of Lights, which I love all forms of theater. And even I would have been like a 4-hour opera or
but
go party.
There's a party outside.
Party.
Yeah. Especially as a teenager, come on.
Yeah. And MJ looks all cute and adorable, and like she's clearly very into Peter.
Yes, this is the first time I think I started getting the inkling that she's like, "Oh, you wanna like."
Oh, I got it a little bit when they're having their beau talk in Venice. Like, there's a little bit of like she went out of her way to like walk with him and talk, and I was like, oh, maybe there's a little bit, but here she's just like, I'm gonna be vulnerable here for a minute.
Yeah.
They're being all cute and sweet, and Peter's like, but I gotta go save the world.
Sorry about it.
And so he leaves, and then MJ follows, and then Betty's like, let's go to the party instead of sitting here. And so they all leave.
So like, going to the fucking opera was like a moot point because they all just end up going to the carnival.
They all just leave anyway, so none of Peter's friends are safe.
So they're all in danger yet again.
And then Fire Monster!
Yes. I did right here, he puts on the new suit, and this is that, the Spider-Man, Raimi Spider-Man reference, because he's like, oh, how's the fit? He's like, oh, it's a little tight around the web shooter. A reference to that, oh, it's a little tight around the crotch.
Yeah.
In, was it Spider-Man 2?
Yes.
Where he's in the elevator with Hal Sparks?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was like, I see what you did there.
Giggle.
And
I love that Ned's sitting there trying to figure out how to cover for this when they're trapped on the Ferris wheel. And he finally goes, Night Monkey! That's Night Monkey!
Is it just me, or does that seem vaguely racist?
Vaguely a little bit.
Vaguely problematic? Like,
I mean,
a black a person clad in black, and you're calling them Night Monkey. It's just a little like
slightly bordering on the little problematic moment. Thankfully, we don't hang out in this land for a whole lot.
And it's clear that like he was grasping at straws.
Yeah.
He's like
It's Monkey because he climbs around like a monkey.
And also shoots spider webs. He's a spider monkey! But yes, so like the fire monster attacks and wreaks all the havoc. We do get that shot of one of the projectors getting kind of like pinged off and kind of shot down an alley, and MJ just like looks and is like, oh, what's that? Oh.
What's that? I'm gonna go pick that up because that looks like the same webs that Spider-Man uses. But Mysterio ultimately stops the monsters. Nobody gets hurt.
And then Nick Fury is like, we could use you.
Yeah, and I still love that Peter calls everybody ma'am or Mr. because he's sitting there, instead of calling him Quentin, he goes, Mr. Beck.
Mr. Beck.
Mr. Beck.
Yeah.
Which was adorable. And then Fury gives Peter some tough love and says that he needs to make a choice. Are you going to be a teenager or an adventurer?
Yeah.
Because those are options that are rational.
Yeah, that's the only two options this kid can have. He can either be a full-blown, like, global hero or just a regular teenager.
Yeah.
There's no in-between. There's no, like, I can avenge on the weekends.
Yeah, nope, it's
all or nothing for this guy.
Yep.
And so he goes off with Jake Gyllenhaal's Quentin, and they kind of, like, have a little heart-to-heart. Jake Gyllenhaal, like, basically tells him, like, Stark, gave you this for a reason, and,
trying to be a good mentor, whatever.
Try to be a good mentor, another kind of, like, pseudo-father figure to Peter Parker, who clearly looks up to this guy.
But also kind of manipulating things.
Obviously, yes.
But
we come to find this.
Yeah. But so Peter goes, I'm going to go be a teenager. Tony wanted me to find the next person to be him, and I think that's you. You have the glasses. And he gives control of Edith to Jake Gyllenhaal, and he puts them on, he goes, they look good on you. And I said, everything looks good on Jake Gyllenhaal, you fool.
Like, of course they do. Duh.
And then Peter leaves after he, like I said, he gives control, gives full control of Edith to Quentin Beck. And then as he's leaving, he bites the corner, then everything starts fading. You see the illusion disappear, and I said, even though we all knew it was coming, because if you watched any of the cartoons, you knew that he was a bad guy. It was so well timed. It was so, like, the way that
it was very good, because
we're like halfway, if not further than halfway through this movie at this point.
Yeah, I think we're at least an hour in.
We have spent a solid amount of time of them going, oh no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. Okay, fine, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
But I think, like, just the timing of how it was done, it was so smartly done. And they even got the fool, Ralphie from A Christmas Story.
Right, yeah.
was actually in Iron Man.
He was in Iron Man 1 back in 2008 and is in...
And they brought him back.
Brought him back
hey,
for
Ralphie,
this.
we need you in this movie for this reveal. So I love that Ralphie's is there also, and
I love he, like, goes around and is like, because we find out that he's a former employee of Tony Stark.
He created Barf.
He created Barf, and he was like, he called my life's work Barf, like, ugh. And so he has, his whole team is full of, like, former Stark Industries employees, and he goes around and is like, without you, who did all these technological things, we wouldn't be here. Without you, who did all these, like, trying to, manipulate the satellites and things. And then he goes to Janice, and without you, Janice, I wouldn't have a costume.
I wouldn't look this cool.
I wouldn't look this cool.
No, I do love it, and it was a big exposition dump, but it was very well done. And I do love the very subtle thing. Like, the grandiose of it is he's playing it off as that Tony Stark took his life's work and made a mockery of it, and that's why he's mad. And he goes, and then he had the decent, like, he feigned to call me, like, mentally unstable, and then he, like, continues on, and you're like, oh no, you're just crazy.
Because you're mentally unstable.
But then we leave there and we go back to the hotel, and MJ and Peter have their cute little date. They have a cute little
date,
and then
it's super adorable.
And then MJ goes, you're Spider-Man.
You're Spider-Man, right? Like, yeah. Like, that's duh.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm not Spider-Man. What are you talking about? But she's like, but this is... She takes out that machine. Is like, this is, like, every time you're not around, Spider-Man is here. And the Night Monkey's got to be Spider-Man because he shoots webs like Spider-Man.
Yeah. And then they find out that it's a projector, and then they figure out all of the things. And we get that evil villain monologue. We cut over to the evil villain monologue, which is great.
Yeah, and Mysterio finds out that like one of his drones is missing, and he finds that like MJ picks it up, and he's like, ah, shit.
I'm gonna have to kill them now.
I'm gonna have to kill these kids.
And then Tom Holland goes inside and he tells MJ, yep, I'm Spider-Man and I gotta change, and he looks good without a shirt, and I can say that because he's over 21 when he made this film.
And then you can tell MJ's like, can I see? Can I see? I want to see. And then Ned walks in and he's like, oh, nice costume for
trying to come in clutch, which I appreciate.
Yeah, coming in clutch and trying to explain away, but he's like, no, I know, and I told her. And she's like, I knew for a long time.
Yeah. I was like, shut up, MJ. You didn't know shit. But then, so Peter leaves, and he goes to find Nick Fury, and he gets in the car, and that seatbelt thing, where the seatbelt was getting stuck, and he was trying to, like, seatbelt himself in, hashtag relatable.
Yeah.
Except for the part where you, like, you pull too hard, and you, like, rip the seatbelt out. But I was like, oh, I feel that on a deep level. And then we find out that it's not really Nick Fury, it's Mysterio.
It's Mysterio again, and he like plays mind games with Peter, and like makes him see all these illusions, and like.
Okay, this is the most well done illusion scene ever. It is so smartly done. It is like, as an audience member, you're like, what's real? What's fake? I don't fucking know. Mm-hmm. And you're like twisted upside down and you're disoriented, just like Peter would be.
Absolutely.
And it's just so,
and like to bring so up good. like a zombie Iron Man, and like it just like really like attacks Peter at like as soul. Like to see like, oh, the thing that he like admires the most is his death.
You're the reason why I died.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Fuck. And you're like, oh damn, he's not pulling any punches and trying to get this kid to like get him off his game.
And then he like falls out, and he's like, and then we hit that deep fake. Where you think you're like, oh man, okay, we're here, this is Nick, this is like fine, and you're like, nope, it's Mysterio, and you just told him who knows who you are. And then he immediately gets hit by a train.
Absolutely.
And I was like, what in the Mean Girls?
You're just like, right? Damn, he just got Regina Georged.
Super hard. And so he wakes up in a jail.
And this is hilarious because it's in the Netherlands.
And so he's wearing a jersey. And it's a Holland jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And he's Tom Holland. I read the same thing. It was so funny. It's so stupid. It doesn't matter to anything. But I'm like, Tom Holland is in Holland.
It's so like...
And the jail people were so adorable.
They're so fun. And like, they're just like, oh, we put it on you because we thought you looked cold.
Yeah, we gave you the shirt because you looked like you were cold. And, oh, well, it's like, well, where's the jailer? It's like, oh, he's talking on the phone to his wife. She's pregnant.
And they're like, oh, congrats on him. Yay.
It's so funny. And so he, like breaks out.
Because, he's fucking Spider-Man.
And the jailer's, like, wearing, like, the night monkey shit.
Yeah, he totally is.
Just walking around on the phone. And the guys in the jail just kind of pull it back. They're like, is everything fine in there? Sure. Yeah. We're fine.
Yeah, we're fine.
Great.
We're good.
Don't worry about it. Everybody's nice in Holland.
Everybody's nice in Holland.
And they give him a phone, and he's able to talk to Happy. And then so Happy, he calls Happy. And then, okay, one of my favorite scenes in this entire movie is when the plane lands, and Peter's so excited. Like, he runs over, then he stops, and he says, wait.
Wait, hold on.
And he goes, tell me something only you would know. And then, he describes, like, this goofy scene about him, and he's like, well, you order porn. When we were in Belgium. And he's like, oh my god, Okay. No, but then he's just so relieved.
Yeah.
Like like a teenager would be.
Yeah, just like
there's finally an adult here who can help me.
Yes, yeah. Like, the complete, like, change from, like, who the fuck is this potential stranger danger to like, oh, thank God I'm safe.
Yes.
Because he just came from his mind being fucked by Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio. Yep. And he's like, I don't know what's real anymore. I don't know. I barely know where I am. Like, I'm all sorts of disoriented. And the one thing that he like now is Happy's like the one thing that he solidly knows is safety.
Yes, and then Papa Happy coming in clutch for the dad advice.
Absolutely.
Of, Tony didn't know what he was doing. Tony was terrified, but the one thing he was certain about was you. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, I'm not crying, you're crying.
Yeah, these aren't tears of sadness.
And then when he makes the decision to, like, I'm going to make a new suit, we're going to go here, this is what we're going to do. And I was just like, is Proud Papa happy? And then, Peter, you fucking idiot.
I said, it's AC Thunderbolt DC, you cretin!
He was like, oh, because I was like, Back in Black, Peter, you idiot.
Oh, you fucking idiot.
But I still love it was the callback to the opening of Iron Man 1 was Back in Black. Back in Black.
Black and Black.
Words. Black and Black.
Yeah. We're black again.
No, we're not.
No.
No, we're not.
We are not.
And so Peter's getting all ready, and Mysterio is going to kill the kids.
I wrote, gotta fix those wrinkles, Janice. Because like the entire montage is like, you gotta do this and fix the satellites. You gotta do this and fix all the artillery. Janice, fix those goddamn wrinkles. And she's like, I'm on it with her steamer.
Yes. As a
Janice, the unsung hero of the enemies.
As a costumer, I felt that.
Right? She's just like, I'm trying. The fabric is too thick, I think.
And so then I say these teachers are the worst, and I'm here for it.
Because they're like, should we stay on the bus or should we leave?
What do we do?
Oh, once everything explodes, we should probably leave.
Yeah. And then again, like as they're running, you can see the guy who was driving the bus in the background as they're running past. You see him in his little hat, and you're like, "Hey, you
dick!
You tried to kill my friends." And then Peter's got them electric webs, baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote, MJ is greater than MJ.
And yes, because she has the wherewithal to like pick up a weapon and actually fucking use it.
And then she takes this mace and runs all the way there, like at the end, ready to fight. Like she's running into battle with a giant mace.
She's like, I got you, Peter.
You're too great. I love you. I wrote down that these fight scenes all look amazing.
Yeah, like it's
visually was super like appeasing to my eye.
It's like just absolute beautiful like CGI work, which was not happening in Spider-Man 3, but we will get to that later. It was just super visually appealing. All the action and all the drones and stuff. So Spider-Man gets like Happy sends him like super high up into the sky so that Mysterio can't like detect him or something.
And then he drops down.
And I'm like, spider shoot, spider wings, woo woo! He's got all these like cool things. And then he like goes into like the illusion.
Yes.
And like starts like fucking shit up with like the electric
webs
and starts to like starts to cause the illusion to kind of go away, and like obviously Jake Gyllenhaal is like, well, shit, like, that's kind of not what I want. I need to fix this.
And so, Peter's fucking shit up, and then he's there, and he's standing over Beck, and he's sitting there, and all of a sudden the Peter tingle comes in clutch, and when he grabs that gun, and, like, all of a sudden you just see, you just see his arms shoot out, and then he, like holds out, and you're like, what the fuck just happened? And you hear a gunshot, and it was actually Quentin standing there with the gun, and I was just like, that reveal was so good. That was so good. And
of course he would do something like that. Would be exactly what a Jake Gyllenhaal's mystery would do.
Yes, no, absolutely. It was so good. And then, so we go from there, and then we see, and I said, fucking Ralphie up to some bullshit, downloading all of this stuff onto a flash drive.
He's doing some shady ass shit.
To some bullshit.
I did write down that because Happy is trying to save Peter's friends, and so they go into the Tower of London, I believe.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're on the Tower Bridge.
Yeah.
And so like, in order for them to like get safe from the drones, they like lock themselves in this like room, and he gets like a shield and like tries to Captain America the shield, and it's like the most pathetic like little toss, and then he's like, how does Captain America do this?
So good. So
I'm
good.
like, Happy.
I love him so much. And then we see MJ running into battle with her mace, and then they kiss. And so I go, look at that kiss. They're so cute. I freaking love you guys.
Because at first it's just like an awkward little peck, and they're like, ooh. And then they're like, oh.
But it wasn't like too,
No, it was very like teenagers,
yeah.
like very much teenager kissing.
Which again, I think is funny because they're like 23. But,
right.
But no, but it was very well done. It was super cute. And then, I said, come through with the power play, Happy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So then, yeah, everything.
Then they all go home.
They all go home. I think Aunt May's just like, oh, where's your luggage? Oh, that's right, they exploded.
No, which was great. Flash, I put Flash has mommy issues.
I wrote that. He's like, oh.
Could Mother not come?
Could Mother not be here? And you can see, like, the dejection in his face.
Well, then also when Peter was, like, spying on all of their text messages, he
I
was
noticed
asking
that.
about, like, his dad or something like that. Like, he has parent issues. His parents don't love him.
And that just goes to show all bullies are just people who are hurting.
Not all bullies. Not all bullies. But a lot of bullies.
A lot of bullies.
Sometimes you just need to show people some love. But yeah, Flash is a douche because he's compensating for his mommy issues.
Well, apparently parent issues.
All parent issues.
Yeah.
There's a theory that you're going to find out that Flash is somehow a part of, like, Oscorp. And that his parents are, like, the heads of, like, Oscorp.
Oh, and that's why they're like...
And that's why they're super, like, neglectful. And I was like, that's interesting.
That's fascinating.
I'm here for it.
So he's like the Harry Osborn of the Tom Holland.
Except for his name's Flash Thompson. But I don't think his real name's Flash. Maybe he's adopted. Maybe we'll find out that his parents are, like, super white.
At this point,
who knows? I don't know. It was something that I remember reading about, and I was like, interesting.
We find out that Ned and Betty break up.
They broke up because they're like, it was our time together, and they like, and now it's apart, and you're just like, that was super mature. Yeah. High school students are not that mature.
No, and I think that's why it's so absurd.
Yeah.
That they're like, the speed that their relationship started at, and then like this, just the way that they ended it.
They like broke up on the plane.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, like this was such like odd, like little relationship, but we're just like, we're all like, yeah, you go, Ned, get you some, Betty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. And it was just super, like, and it still felt satisfying at the end. You're just like, of course they broke up. Because they're teenagers. Like, of course they broke up.
Yeah.
And then I love that. And then we see Peter sitting down with Happy and May, and he's like, we need to talk about this.
We need to talk about
what's going on.
What's going on between
you guys in a relationship? And Happy's like, yes.
And then May's like, no. And then like, what?
And she was like, it was like a summer fling. And Happy's like, a summer fling that like leads and turns into more. And Peter's like, I'm not here for this. I have a date.
I'll definitely put Aka awkward here.
Yeah. And so he bounces and he swings down and picks up MJ, and they go. And I love that it's like, because usually when a Spider-Man swings up and picks up the girl, and she's like, oh, it's so wonderful. And she's like,
she's like clinging to him for dear life. She's like, I do not like this. I do not like. Please put me down.
We're never doing this
again. We're never doing this again, ever. And he's like, oh, okay.
And they swing off into the city, and it cuts to credits. And then we get our first mid-credit scene. J.K. Simmons!
And we get all this, like, bullshit about, like, oh, Mysterio's character, like, defeats the big baddie.
And Spider-Man's really the villain.
And, like, doctors all the images that his drones picked up because Ralphie downloaded it and sent it to the news organization.
No, not news. It's the dailybugle.net. It's clearly one of those, like, over, like, hyped, like, conspiracy theory websites. Like, that's got to be what this is. Like, I don't think it's like a
oh, you're thinking it's like a TMZ type.
I think it's one of those, like, conspiracy theory things, because that makes more sense to me for, like, a J. Jonah Jameson, like, in this kind of world. And so I think that's what it is, because it was like from the dailybugle.net, and you're like, really? So I think that's the vibe I was getting. But yeah, and then at the very end, you see the shot, and it's Quentin Beck saying, Spider-Man's real name is Peter Parker, and he flashes his picture on the screen, and Peter goes, oh, fuck. And then
what the fuck?
And then it cuts to black, and then we get the post-credit scene, which has nothing to do with Spider-Man, but it's Skrulls. There were Skrulls all along. It was Skrulls all along. And they are really they're setting up Secret Invasion, which is a Marvel Disney Plus TV show coming out at some point. Some point, like next year, I think. Maybe the year after. I don't know when it's coming out, but it's coming, and this is the start of that, so.
Yeah, we find that Fury has been on that, whatever, I forget the name of the ship. Is it the Nautilus?
I don't remember.
I can't remember what the...
I didn't pay attention to that. I didn't care. It's on a spaceship.
They were on a spaceship with all the Skrull that Captain Marvel saved, and presumably he's been there since the Captain Marvel movie.
I don't think so.
Is that the presumption or no?
No, I think the implication is that he's been up there for a while, but not since Captain Marvel. Because there were hints that Nick Fury and Maria Hill weren't Nick Fury and Maria Hill throughout this movie. That you don't see that because like character things like don't line up with other films. Like Maria calls Nick Fury Nick instead of Fury. And things like that don't line up with past things. So I think the implication is that for this movie and possibly some other events, it was Skrulls, but not like since Captain Marvel, because that wouldn't make sense.
Why wouldn't that make sense?
Because there wouldn't be inconsistencies with the characters this movie and not all of the other ones. Like they would just line up and you'd be like, oh, these characters who have been acting exactly the same way the entire time are here. Because even he says, like, I don't know how to get a hold of the Avengers. Nick Fury would know how to get a hold of the Avengers at all times. So if Talos has always been Talos pretending to be Nick Fury, like every time we saw Nick Fury is really Talos, he would know how to get a hold of the Avengers. Which indicates that it is a newer thing that Nick Fury has gone up to space to deal with some other threats. Maybe after the funeral for Tony Stark, or maybe it was before maybe he went up there pre-Infinity War, and it was Talos that was snapped and not Nick Fury.
I see.
So I don't know, but I don't think that the implication is that Nick Fury has been up there since Captain Marvel, because that would mean every movie that has happened
wasn't Nick Fury, yeah.
Wasn't Nick Fury, because Captain Marvel took place in the 90s, and Iron Man starts in 2008. Yeah, that's what I was
thinking. I was thinking that the big reveal was like, oh, this entire time Nick Fury wasn't actually Nick Fury, and it was always a Skrull.
Yeah, I don't think so, but we'll find out in another movie, because guess what?
There are more.
There are plenty more. We are going to have we will have Marvel questions when we die, and there will still be Marvel movies coming out.
Yeah, for sure.
So, JJ, how would you rate Spider-Man Far From Home?
I will rate Spider-Man Far From Home, because, I mean, compared to, like, the second, so, like, this is the second Tom Holland Spider-Man, compared to the second Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
And we're also comparing it to the second Andrew Garfield.
And the second Andrew Garfield, which is clearly the inferior of the three.
Which is the inferior of all of the movies we have seen to this point.
At this point. Because I think, definitely Amazing Spider-Man on the bottom. I would put Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 in the middle, and I would put Far From Home just slightly above Sam Raimi's. Just because I think like you said, Zendaya's MJ is greater than Kirsten Dunst's MJ, and all MJ does in Spider-Man 2 is just get captured and like is useless. I think the relationship between Peter Parker and MJ, I think it's just more compelling and more interesting in Tom Holland's in Far From Home than Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. I think the villain is more... How do I feel about the villain? I was gagged at the reveal and the way that they framed that. But I mean, Alfred Molina is still really good. He's also very charming. Very, very charming. I think
that the villains are on point because they're it's two separate approaches. I would say that both villains are on par. I wouldn't say one was better than the other because they're so differently approached. Because when I think that there was a stronger betrayal feel with the Jake Gyllenhaal, but Alfred Molina is like, God, even when he was a villain, he was also very, like, you're still like, oh, you're charming and you're good. God, you're talented. Ooh. So yeah, I don't think that it's comparing apples and oranges, and I don't think that that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give Jake Gyllenhaal the slight edge because I bang the shit out of Jake Gyllenhaal. I think, I mean, I don't want to give like CGI that much credence just because Sam Raimi's Spider-Man was so long ago.
Yeah.
But like it's just more it was just very visually pleasing.
Yes.
I'm sure I would have thought Sam Raimi's second Spider-Man was just as visually pleasing at the time.
Yeah, and I think that it's like most of the effects holds up. It's just not as obviously not as fine-tuned as Far From Home, just because technology has advanced so much in the last 10 years.
Yeah, for sure. But it's, I think, I forgot, do you remember what I rated Spider-Man 2? Did I give it a 4?
I think it is a 4, maybe 4.5.
I don't think I gave half points yet. But I'm going to do it today. I'm going to give Far From Home, I'm going to give it a 4.5 broken Black Dahlia necklaces.
4.5 Black Dahlia necklaces.
Yeah.
Because the half one is the broken one.
Yes.
Yes, perfect. I mostly concur. I think that as a standalone film, I think that Sam Raimi's film makes more sense on its own, whereas, like I said, you have a lot to unpack from the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe for Far From Home to make more sense. Mm-hmm. You can't just walk into it blind because there'd be lots of questions. Like, how I picture it is, if I were to sit down and watch this movie with my mom, how much would she understand about it? Without
and you're like, not very much.
There will be moments where she's like, yeah, this is great. Okay, who's that guy? Why is this guy here? Why is he, like, what's going on? Like, every time Nick Fury's on, she's like, why is Samuel L. Jackson in this movie?
Yeah.
What's going on? Why do they keep talking about all these superheroes? Like, are they dead? Like, I can see immediately, like, I Will Always Love You on. There'll be lots of questions. So it doesn't hold up on its own. So I think that on that regards, I think that Sam Raimi, as a Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 2 is a slightly better just Spider-Man film. However, if we're taking all of the content into consideration, I think that Far From Home is slightly better as a piece of a franchise.
I mean, yeah, for sure, because these are the second movies of their franchise.
And I will rate Far From Home 4.5 Jake Gyllenhaal butts. Because
that's 8 butt cheeks. 9 butt cheeks. No, what's 4.5? What's 4.5 times 2?
It's 9 butt cheeks.
It's 9 butt cheeks, yeah.
Because 4.
Math is hard, y'all.
Math is hard. Let's go shopping. So, that has been our deep dive into Spider-Man Far From Home. Thank you for listening to Nobody Asked Our Opinion. You can send us an email with any and all of your opinions about Spider-Man or thoughts and opinions on what we should jump into next, because we're almost done with this franchise, at nobodyaskouraopinion@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at nobodyaskouraopinion. You can listen to us on YouTube at Nobody Asked Our Opinion Podcast. You can follow me at Joey Snow 2006.
And you can follow me at pianoman_05.
Follow our unpaid intern Natalia at The Third Rule Creative. Follow our producer Jonathan at Jelly Sound. Rate us, leave a review wherever you get podcasts. Tell your friends to check us out so we can give more fun content to more fun, cool people. Okay, bye!
Okay, bye!